Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Biology for Everybody, a series where we break down mind blowing biology for everyone to understand, not just students. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how your body builds itself? What if I told you there is a microscopic code hidden inside every one of your cells? A code so powerful it decides how tall you are, what your voice sounds like, and even whether you are a night owl or not. Today, we are diving into the invisible world of DNA explained in the simplest way possible. What is DNA? Inside our body are trillions of cells, approximately 37 trillion in an adult human male. And inside most of those cells, there is a tiny control center called the nucleus. That's where our DNA lives, like a supercomputer inside each cell. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, but don't worry, you don't need to memorize that. Just think of DNA as a master recipe book written in a secret language made up of only four letters A, T, C, and G. These letters always pair up A with T and C with G, like perfect puzzle pieces. Let's take a look at the structure of DNA to see how these letters are arranged. DNA is shaped like a twisted ladder, famously called the double helix. There are two things to note here. The ladder is made of two long strands. These strands fit together perfectly, like jigsaw pieces. Here is where our letters come in. Imagine one side of the DNA strand reads ATTGGC. The other side will definitely be TAACCG. A always pairs with T and C always with G. This is the language of life. How is information encoded in DNA? The secret lies in the order of those letters A, T, C, and G. The specific sequence of these letters is what stores the instructions. Human DNA is made up of about 3 billion individual letters that are arranged in a very specific order. The sequence in which the letters are arranged is of utmost importance and it contains every instruction for building and running us. It tells the cells in our body how to grow, how to function, and even what kind of cell to become, a skin cell, a brain cell, or even a muscle cell. And it's not just humans. Every living thing, from dogs and trees to bacteria, is built and run based on the sequence of its DNA. How is DNA packaged into a nucleus? An average human male is 1.71 meters tall, but your DNA is a massive 2 meters long, and that DNA has to fit into a tiny part of the cell called nucleus, just 5 to 10 micrometers wide. Imagine DNA as a long woolen thread. Without organization, woolen threads get tangled. We wrap the woolen threads around spools to prevent such tangles. Likewise, DNA wraps around small proteins called histones, forming spools called nucleosomes. Then, they coil even more, finally forming structures we famously know as chromosomes. Chromosomes are a highly condensed form of DNA and histone proteins. DNA has to be condensed 10,000 times to form chromosomes. If we laid down all the DNA from trillions of cells in our body end to end, it would be a staggering 74 billion kilometers long. To put it into perspective, it means it can extend between the Sun and Pluto 12.5 times. DNA is truly a masterpiece in design and packaging. How long is the information encoded in DNA? In a single human cell, 3 billion letters make up the genetic instructions or DNA. This entire set of DNA instructions found in a cell is called genome. There are 23 pairs of chromosomes in a human cell, so there are 46 DNA double helices. All of them together is called the human genome. But here is the twist. Humans are not even close to having the longest genome. At the smallest end of the scale, we have Nashia deltocephalinicola, a tiny bacterium that lives inside leafhoppers. Its genome contains just 112,000 letters, so small that it cannot survive on its own. It relies entirely on its host, which is the leafhopper, for survival. Now let's go in the opposite direction. Meet the New Caledonian fork fern, a plant that just took the title for the longest genome ever found. Its DNA from just one cell stretches over 100 meters. That's about the length of a football field. It has more than 50 times the DNA of a human. So, what does this show? More DNA doesn't always mean a more complex creature. Some ferns have huge amounts of DNA, while others, like bacteria, manage with very little. Scientists call this the C value paradox, the strange fact that the genome size doesn't always match up with how advanced or complex an organism is. So, there you have it, all about DNA, the invisible code that builds and runs all living things. From just 4 letters, it writes the story of our life one cell at a time. This invisible code not only makes you you, but links you to every living thing on earth, from the simplest bacteria to the tallest tree. But the real magic begins when your cells read the code. How do they read it and turn all these letters into life? That's the story for next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Until next time, stay curious.